On July 13th of this year, Toronto Police Service officers, along with the Toronto Fire Department, attended at 5474 Yonge Street, Unit 207, for a fire call. The fire was extinguished by firefighters, and the 72-year-old resident of that unit, later identified as Janina Wrigglesworth, was located deceased. An investigator with the Office of the Fire Marshal attended and assisted with the investigation. A postmortem examination was conducted, and as a result of those initial findings and scene examination, a homicide investigation was commenced into the death of Miss Wigglesworth. On Tuesday, September 10th, 2013, Blake Anthony Wilson, a 27-year-old resident of Toronto, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder surrounding Miss Wigglesworth's death. Blake Wilson appeared at 1000 Finch Avenue Courts this morning and was remanded into custody. During this investigation, it was learned that Miss Wigglesworth had been preparing taxes for many persons within her community for several years. We as investigators are now in possession of numerous tax returns that she had been filing, and we would like to surrender these taxes to the proper owners. I'm requesting anyone that may have left their tax returns with Miss Wigglesworth to contact our office at 416-808-7400 to arrange for pickup of your tax returns. Another aspect of our investigation revealed that Miss Wigglesworth had in the past and was believed to be still active in the sex trade. Ms. Wigglesworth is believed to have used the business names of Playful Tina or Linda. As part of this investigation, we have obtained the telephone records of the business line that was being used by Ms. Wigglesworth. I am appealing to anyone that may have had contact with Playful Tina or Linda using that business line within the week of July 6th to 13th to contact me directly at the same number that I've just provided, whether you actually met with Ms. Wigglesworth or Playful Tina or Linda or not. We would prefer that contact is initiated by these individuals. However, should these individuals choose not to contact us, we will be contacting you directly, as it is an integral part of our investigation. Finally, I cannot speak to the specifics of this investigation because it is now before the courts, but I am appealing to anyone working within the sex trade industry who may have been the victim of an unreported incident within the last few months related to their trade to contact our investigative team. We are working with the Sex Crimes Unit in relation to this investigation. Subject to any questions, that's the update for that case.
What's the relationship between Wilson and Ms. Wigglesworth?
I'm sorry?
The relationship between Wilson and Ms. Wigglesworth.
Well, that's part of the investigation of the prosecution that we're going to be proceeding with court right now. We don't know if they knew each other prior to this. We certainly know that there was contact on the day in question.
Is the accused the person that was in the pictures, that was the person of interest, or is that someone else?
Shortly after this fire occurred, I had released photos of an individual that I tried to identify, trying to figure out whether that person lived in that building or was visiting someone. That, in fact, is the person that I have now charged with first-degree murder.
So you can't say, sorry, you started whether or not the accused person had contact with Ms. Wigglesworth through sex trade or through her tax work?
The only contact I'm aware of right now is the contact of the day in question. Obviously, we're going to be looking backwards to see if there was any previous contact, but I don't have any knowledge of that right now.
Was that contact, like, you mean when he came to the apartment allegedly, or was there a
Correct.
phone call earlier or something like that?
Correct. The day of contact at the apartment.
Can you tell us anything about Blake Wilson?
I can tell you that he is known to Toronto Police, that he is a resident of Toronto. I think I said 27. I think he's 26 years old. I apologize.
I'm sorry, second degree, first degree murder?
First degree murder.
Terry, safe to assume that Ms. Wrigglesworth was in phone sex industry?
My understanding so far is that she did advertise in one of the local trade publications, and it was not uncommon for potential clients to visit her address, which is specifically why I'm putting an appeal out to anyone that may have called or contacted her the week of July 6th to 13th. Whether you did in fact attend her address or not, we need to hear from you because it's part of our investigation. And I can only reiterate, if you choose not to contact us, that's your privilege or right, but we will be placing those calls to you.
Any indication that she was living off the avails of anyone else?
I can tell you that she lived by very limited means. She was not living an opulent or grand lifestyle, and any monies that she may have been receiving through this line of work, in my understanding, if not all of it, the high percentage or bulk of it was going to extended family overseas.
But was she working with any other sex workers?
No, sorry, no, I have no knowledge of that.
Are you seeing any other suspects in relationship to that?
Not at this time, but obviously the investigation is very early, and certainly if there are other individuals out there that have not spoken to us that can provide more information, we'd certainly like to hear from them.
Where overseas was she sending the money?
Poland,
Poland, to family in Poland.
correct.
Would the primary source of income have been from working in the sex trade or from doing the tax returns or anything else?
My understanding is that she was a retired senior citizen, given her age. She had worked for many, many years in a federal job and had a pension from that, so there was some income coming in from that. She was also doing taxes on the side, and quite a few clients, actually, so I can't say what percentage was her primary, but certainly she was getting some income from the sex trade industry.
Okay, if those are all the questions in regards to this homicide investigation, we'll now move to homicide number 38 and 39.
So 38 and 39, again, is an update to our two deceased individuals, Kwame Duodu and O'Shea Doyles-Whyte, which occurred on August the 23rd. I've made several appeals in relation to this investigation, and one of those appeals consisted of me advising that shortly after this homicide had occurred, we had located 3 bikes that were discarded in and around the area in a park nearby. These are the specific bikes in question that I'm now referring to. It was hoped that I would not have to release these bikes because as an investigator, we certainly try to hold back as much information as possible. However, the investigation right now is not advancing to a level that I had hoped for. So what I'm hoping is that anyone who recognizes these bikes as either A, the owner of the bikes, to contact me, or anyone who may have observed anyone operating or riding these bicycles the day of the homicide or the days leading up to the homicide, to contact me as well. If you have a child who may have been operating one of these bikes, I certainly appeal to you to contact me and let me know that. I've indicated all along there were 3 people involved in this shooting. I still believe to this date that there is only one shooter and 2 other individuals that were along with the shooter. Time is now passing, and I have not heard from those other two individuals as well as with the shooter involved. So we're certainly reaching out to hear from the 2 involved people specifically that were not the shooter to see what role, if any, they played in this. There's been a lot of community chat about this homicide, and what is consistent is that the person responsible, their name is being called out over and over. As an investigator, I can tell you that this provides us with a direction on where to focus our investigation. However, to be able to advance this investigation and ultimately be in a position to arrest and charge those involved, we require community participation. On that note, I am again appealing to persons within the immediate community who may have witnessed the incident, observed these individuals, these being the suspects that were on these bikes, fleeing the area or arriving on these bikes, or who may have had direct contact with the involved parties after the fact, to certainly contact me and let me know what you know. I'm very grateful to those that have come forward so far and provided invaluable information, but there is a lot more work that needs to be done in this investigation, and more importantly, I'm quite confident there are people within that immediate community that have vital information that can advance this investigation.
When you say the people who are the person who is responsible, they've been called out, what do you mean by that?
It's been my experience over the last couple of years that there are lots of whispers that go on within the community that don't necessarily come forth to the policing community, but obviously people will contact us either anonymously or leave a voicemail message or take us aside and say, hey, this is what you need to hear. We are hearing a lot of that, and what we are hearing is very consistent. of who the involved party is. However, that being said, I am still not in a position to actually arrest anyone for this.
Have you been given a name, a street name, a description? Like, what is it that's consistent?
I need someone, rather than just call out or shout out a name, I need someone to point out an individual. I need someone willing to stand up and say, I was in the area that day and I saw either the incident or I saw these people on these bikes, to allow us to advance our case to get reasonable grounds to believe. Right now, what we have is a lot of working information that we can work with, but certainly nowhere near enough to effect an arrest. And that's what we need. And there's no doubt in my mind that people within that community know who the involved individuals are. And I need them to come forward.
You sound frustrated. Are you frustrated with this?
This is a very solvable case. If I sound frustrated, it's because our team has put a lot of effort into this, and it is clearly solvable. These are two young boys that did not deserve to have this happen to them, not that anyone does. But this case can be solved and arrest can be made very quickly if people step up and provide the information we require.
Any idea why these two boys would have been targeted?
I don't believe, as we speak right now, that they in fact were targeted. I have other investigative information that leads me in a different direction. I think that they were just in the wrong place at that time. There may have in fact been someone else that may have been targeted, but that's not something I'm prepared to share right now.
So they may have been standing close to the intended target?
That is a possibility, and that's one of the avenues I'm exploring, yes.
So these two boys may have just been innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire?
Oh, I definitely believe that they are innocent bystanders. I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that they were the intended targets. I've said it all along. They were just young boys that were out enjoying a summer's day, and I maintain that.
What do the bikes say to you? That the shooter was a young person? I mean, do you have any description of the people who were on the bikes that can tell you? And given that they discarded these bikes so nearby, like does that point to careless killers by your standards?
Well, there's two possible scenarios that one could follow with that. They discarded the bikes because they didn't have an active plan and didn't know what they were doing and thought the bikes would bring attention to them, or they did have an active plan and realized that by having these bikes they would be in peril and dropped the bikes and found another means of transport away from there. I don't know. I'm open to everything, but clearly the bikes suggest that, and again, I don't want anyone to think that this is the only way it can be, that they are probably younger people. The information that we are receiving, that is clearly not witness information, but again, community speak, suggests that the involved parties are all young people involved in this.
Detective Sergeant, you said that the bikes were being submitted for forensics. Can we take that there is no reliable forensics from the actual bicycles themselves?
No. If you can appreciate, there's a lot of work that needs to be done when we do forensic work. And the Center for Forensic Sciences has always done a lot of great work with the Toronto Police Service, but as you can appreciate, they are inundated with a lot of work, with a lot of investigations. So the things that we believe are of assistance evidentiary, we have submitted those things. We're still waiting for returns on that.
So you don't have results yet?
I don't have the results, and the second thing that you should be aware of is that the Center for Forensic Science right now is in the process of moving to a new location, so that has, I wouldn't say hampered, but it's delayed the results a little bit for us.
Would you say that the people that are calling out, I mean, the person they believe who is involved, because you said just a second ago that you're hearing from people in the community but not witnesses. Do you think that any witnesses have been trying to help you out via anonymous tips, that sort of thing, but they just need to take a step further?
As an investigator, if anyone has any concerns at all about why they wouldn't be coming forward to assist with this investigation, I will address those concerns. I will not put anyone's safety at risk. I will not release anyone's name. I will not release anyone's name until an appropriate time. Obviously, if someone provides information that we're able to advance our case to lay charges, the safety of those individuals, whether real or perceived, and I say real or perceived because I've been in the Homicide Squad almost 10 years. I've never had a situation where any of my witnesses has ever come into any conflict. But that being said, real or perceived, any safety concerns that they may have, we will address those and make sure they're looked after before any information is relayed. What I need right now is them to come forward while it's still fresh in their mind and provide the information that they have. All right?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
This
everyone.
does conclude the conference. We will have